Let's do this. Okay, so obviously I'm worried about the future of things and if things are really successful again. And yeah, it's all just everything's gonna be different. Like, first up, what if it all flops? You know, what if I fail? It's not the end of the world. At least if you flop, you'll know whether or not it was the right thing to do or the wrong thing. And if you do feel like it's the right thing to keep pursuing, then it's probably going to be like a Thomas Edison thing, like 999 ways to learn how not to do something in order to find that one way to do the thing. You know, you're not going to be staying stagnant, which is good. You're just going to be constantly improving in order to like get to the solution that you want. And also, we know us, like, one small flop isn't going to really stop us from pursuing what we feel is necessary. I mean, we care too much. And how the hell am I going to be able to maintain everything? It's like a pastor and sermons. Like, how do you drop a fresh sermon every Sunday, a new message every Sunday for years on end until you die or retire? I don't know how I'm going to be able to maintain all of that and keep on producing something new and something fresh and stay on top of things and still be innovative and creative. Like, it's so frustrating. Right, well, we've already watched way too many YouTube videos on this, so we already know that creativity is a muscle. A lot of like top expert people say that our creativity is a muscle, right? So obviously the more that we put in, the more we practice, the more we make a habit out of it, the more we're going to get out of our creativity, right? So if we keep on working at it, then we're going to grow creatively, you know, and that's awesome. And also, you're way too faceted for you to worry about not having enough like inspiration and like creative energy and all that kind of fancy stuff. Like, we already know your music informs your design informs your art informs your photography informs your film, and then you like books, you like to watch documentaries, you want to be the best at this thing, right? So in order for you to be the best, you're going to want to play around with different things and learn a lot. Like, we don't have to take it too like seriously. It's not uni, but you want to be a student, you know, you're forever studious. So you're going to be all right. You're always going to come up with something fresh because you're always looking for something new and you're always pushing yourself and testing yourself. And sometimes you probably would do way too much studying and we need to get more into like the practical things, but we know that's a fair thing as well. So you're going to be fine, you know, and you're going to know so much more as the years go by, that there's going to be new things to talk about, new things to create, something else to produce, new art forms, new ways of doing things, new techniques, new everything. So you'll be okay. Plus, all this worrying about maintain, how am I going to maintain? But what are you maintaining right now? Nothing, because we're not making anything. So right now, you're stagnant. So let's get out of this stagnation phase because it's dead, and let's make something. What if things get too crazy and my relationships change? You know, how am I going to deal with all of that? I know this is a worry that we have at the moment, but we have to remember we have some really good people around us. You prayed for these friends that you have today. Luckily, no one's crazy, no one's too mad. Everyone has sense. We all have, you know, good heads on our shoulders. So those relationships aren't anything that you have to worry about at the moment. And plus, I think after graduating uni, you saw how things changed over time in some relationships, but you also know that's not bad blood between any of you. Sometimes life just happens and people grow and people drift apart because of life, but there's always still love there. So that's fine. So that's nothing to be concerned about. You have good people in your circle and just keep them there Like, it all comes down to the choices you make as well. And include your friends more in stuff. Talk to them about stuff. I know there's a concern that maybe they may not fully understand, or you feel like you have to go through these things alone, but use your friends in a good way, not in a bad way, but use them. They're there for a reason, as well as to live life and make memories. Yeah, like, just have fun with them, and even bring them into some of your creative projects as well, because we know you want to. Just stop overthinking it, just ask. And yeah, even though some people may not be interested in the creative side of things, does not mean that they're not interested in you. They still love you. They just may not get it. The same way that you aren't interested in all the things that your friends do, there's some bits that you could care less about, but you still love them as a human being. So yeah, it's all kosher. And with like other relationships changing, just try and keep it civil. And I know we don't like confrontation, but it's not like we're the most dramatic people anyway. So just keep it chilled, keep the love. And in terms of just other people, boundaries. We struggle with that because we are people pleasers, but we're gonna have to learn how to like set the necessary boundaries in place. We don't have to be too harsh, but we just have to set these things in place to protect ourselves and save us a lot of trouble in the future. Therapy. We should do that. What if I'm really well known and then people need help with stuff and they're asking me for advice and resources, and it all just becomes a bit too much? Like, how am I going to help everybody and then do all of this? Well, and we already know you're not Superman. I think over the years, this has been a thing, and we've learned that you get into the habit of over-promising and under-delivering. I mean, it's part of the people pleaser thing. I think we've noticed, plus the therapist like picked that up at one point a couple of months ago. It's just something that we have to do less of, and we're not failing anybody by not being able to provide a certain thing. We can still signpost people to stuff, we can still give them resources where necessary, but it doesn't mean that we have to try and save them. Plus, you need to save yourself at times, because you put in way too much energy into the lives of other people, and sometimes you don't really give yourself that same energy back. But that's a story for another day, and that's something we'll address. Therapy. We need to learn how to do what we can in the moment, and if we can't do it, let's just say we can't do it. It's not the end of the world. We're not gonna hurt anybody. And plus, set reminders. We have the short attention span and short-term memory of like fish. We are terrible with doing stuff as well, especially when our hearts are in the right place and we want to do it, but we just forget. So organization. We're probably going to need to be a lot more organized in that respect as well, and with helping people if we are able to help them, so that we can stay on top of things and not get so caught up in life that we just forget the things that we have told people that we are going to do, because that's not really fair on them. So boundaries, organization, and it's okay to say you can't. It's not the end of the world if that happens. It's going to be okay. What if I mess up again? I don't want a repeat of mistakes I've made in the past. Right, we learned this a lot in 2021, and this led to a lot of shame and you feeling like it was the end of the world when it wasn't the end of the world. And if we think about the fruits of shame and that period, it wasn't really productive. We kind of just buried our heads in the sand, didn't communicate well, and it just became really messy. So let's not do that. Let's apologize where necessary, take accountability, and be accountable if needed. But most importantly, the situation that's happened, if it's already happened and we've apologized, if it's with other people, or even if it's for yourself, apologize to you. But definitely see where you went wrong and see how fast you can learn from it and move forward. All we can do at the end of the day is move forward. And at the same time, give yourself a bit of grace. Like, we can't always get it right. Sometimes we don't get it right. Sometimes it's something new and we don't really fully understand what it all needs until we're in the middle of the situation and you're like, oh damn. But we just have to do what we can within the moment and see what we can learn from it as we've reflected on it and given it time. But the importance is moving forward and not allowing the shame or the fear of getting it wrong to stop us from maybe doing something really amazing. Because at the end of the day, all of this is more information that will help us do better in the future. So it is kind of a win-win when you think about it, whether you make the mistakes or not. Just remember that perspective. But Michael, what if everything changes and it happens? I'm super successful and things are astronomically huge and you're like to the level of like being famous for what it is that you do, and everything becomes different. You become different. Right, this is the big one. We don't like attention. I think that's really clear by the way we interact to Instagram comments, the way we react when somebody, compliments us and may talk about our physical features. We get a bit weird. But, let's remember that it's not the end of the world. We know you're introverted. We tell everybody we're introverted, even though it's more ambivert, less introvert, because you can be loud. But I guess this is the importance of boundaries and just remembering the relationships that you have in your life. Like your friends and your family, that they are your day zeros. You've got them, they've got you, they are your safe space. If things were to like go absolutely crazy and chaotic and like you're a lot more recognizable, at the same time, don't dim your light, because it doesn't make sense for us to now reduce ourselves and make ourselves smaller in order to be a bit more comfortable. But it's not going to result in long-lasting comfort, because you're going to be hella frustrated that you haven't expressed yourself fully, you haven't shown up for yourself, and you haven't brought to life the things that deep down you really want to bring to the world, to existence and stuff. So that's probably going to have long-term consequences that are really negative, and you don't want that. So let's not do that. If it means that the things that we create bring attention, let's learn how to show gratitude and say thank you. Let's not make it awkward. It doesn't have to be awkward. And let's just learn to embrace something a bit new. There are some really great conversations and relationships that could be made as a result, of a shared interest, or learning about somebody's perspective from what it is that you've made, or hearing about the impact that you've made in the lives of people. Because at the end of the day, they are the reason that you are kind of doing the thing. Also, at that level, you'll have help. Where you are at the moment and the way things work it's not going to be the same. Like you're probably going to have a team. You're going to have people around you that can be of help. There's going to be resources available. There's going to be some form of support system. And again, these are the things that you prayed for. You wanted this, right? You know deep down that these are the very, very things that you stayed up late at night wanting, and now they're here. So now that it's here, are you just gonna hide and run away? No, we can't do that, especially when it has become a success and it's helping people, blessing people, moving people, and changing the lives of people. We know it's just art stuff and creative things, but those things can still have a massive impact in the lives of the people around us. And that's what's important. Really and truly, it's not about us. It's about them. You setting your boundaries in place is going to be so important for you in the future, and it's going to be so beneficial. So that's something that we're probably going to have to practice early. And yeah, if you need to run away from it all, if you need to log out of social media, we do that anyway. If you need to be a social recluse, we could be a social recluse, as long as we just allow our family members and friends know where we are and what we're up to, and we still communicate with them. Because remember, day zeros, and there are people. So in the midst of all of that, we will always have them. Some answers may change, and we're probably going to learn a lot more about ourselves as time goes on. And heck, I may learn something new. So my answers to these questions, or the new questions that may arise, will probably change, and that's okay. Let's just try and take one step at a time. This is the issue with you. You're too future focused. Yes, I know I'm too future focused as well. We are too fixed on what's ahead. But let's just try and remain in the present, because all of this anxiety is it's been long for the past couple of years. So let's just relax. Okay. Well, might as well watch Project Runway now, because you've interrupted my reading, and my brain's all over the place. So let's see what's happening.
Fashion designer Christian Siriano, journalist Elaine Welteroth, fashion designer Brandon Maxwell, and editor-in-chief of Elle magazine Nina Garcia are looking